Scott was talking about how he thinks the left is slouching towards or maybe careening towards illiberalism and would rather shut a lot of conservatives up than actually debate them. And on that note, I wanted to play this clip. This is from November 18th. This is Scott with Franklin Leonard and Joshua Doss talking about race relations. Let's go ahead and roll this one, S2.
Scott, you keep saying, well, he didn't do anything. There's no indication of criminality. If that's true, he should be elated that we're putting these things out.
If that's true, it is true. Can you name any evidence?
I would like to see the evidence. What I'm saying is...
You think after 10 years of public life,
this is about
you
Jeffrey
wouldn't know
Epstein,
it
by the way. For
no,
this.
I don't. That's exactly the point.
Oh, my goodness.
Scott,
this is an IQ test. Don't fail it. Come on, man.
Scott, that's
10 years Donald Trump has been in public life.
That's embarrassing.
Come on.
Just real quick, I just want to bring it back to something that just happened. I feel like I just heard Scott call into question this black man's intelligence with the IQ test.
That's
I feel like I heard that. And so I just want to say something. This is what it sounded like.
You want to make it racial, go ahead, but it's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I think that...
By the way, we know each other and we're friends. I know this man. He's a smart guy, and we're having a debate. We're having a debate. Don't make it into so. We don't even know each other, but we do.
Scott, I found that to be a really powerful moment when you said we're friends and we know each other. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened maybe after the segment, if anything? Maybe it was all good.
Well, look, Franklin, so I've known him since like 1996. We were Coca-Cola national scholars together.
Oh my gosh.
And he's been on the 10 o'clock show before. And one night we were like, wait a minute, I think we have some commonality. And so I like the guy. I think he's actually a smart guy. I don't agree with him about the Epstein situation. Of course, we were debating that. And we were having a vigorous debate. That character sitting next to me, Doss, I had literally met 5 minutes before the show started. So there's a situation where I'm having a debate with Franklin, who's a smart guy, and then this guy wants to jump in and do what people who have no idea what they're talking about or what they're doing do. They try to turn it into some issue of race. It's not an issue of race. It's an issue of, I have a point to make, Franklin has a point to make, and we were having it out. And honestly, I just don't think this crap works anymore. I mean, I think America is over this crap. I mean, this was part of reelecting Donald Trump. We don't have to sort of put up with these nonsensical arguments where you get into a debate. I have a point of view. You have a point of view. And if you don't agree with me, you immediately start saying, well, you must be a racist, but he was very sneakily implying it. He didn't say, Scott Jennings, what a racist thing to say. He said, did I just hear the IQ? He tried to do this kind of workaround to avoid looking you in the eye and saying you're racist. I know, which was this kind of like a sissy way to do it anyway. Like, if you want to call me, just look me in the eye and call me that. And so, what I find is that some people are not equipped for the debating format. They're not equipped for that show. They're not equipped for that table. That showed me something in that moment. But I have a lot of respect for Franklin, actually. I think he's a great debater. I actually think he's a smart guy, and he and I are not aligned politically. But I'm actually kind of a fan of his when it comes to his ability to articulate certain things on television that come from his point of view. And by the way, I'm pro-debate. I think people like Franklin ought to be able to come out and debate, and he does a great job. But this other character, I mean, it's not a debate if once you hear something you don't like, it's like, racist, you're out. And nobody wants to talk to you. Okay. Nobody wants to debate with you, and you've destroyed all your credibility. And so I don't know. My advice is this crap doesn't work anymore. Just engage in the debate. If you have something to say it. If you don't, no reason to impugn the character of someone you met 5 minutes ago.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think actually you won the debate by making the obvious point, which is that you're not, you have never demonstrated racist behavior to this person that you know and that you're friendly with, and to suggest otherwise is outrageous. And so good on you for doing that in the moment, Scott. Another clip. We're just doing the Scott Jennings hits. We're going to do all the hits. This one was you with Kara Swisher, who got into debate with her over double standards and kind of Hunter Biden shutting down the laptop story tech, which Kara Swisher has covered closely for years. When you had these companies, you remember, you couldn't even send the New York Post's original story on the Hunter Biden laptop in a direct message when Twitter was shutting it down after that story came out. So let's go ahead and roll this clip because it's another good one.
The story was true. There wasn't really any dispute of that, other than from these 50 people who come from government, who are in and out of government when Democrats are in power.
That's politics to me, Scott. I mean, you're not naive. They were making their case, just like you would say Trump just did with whatever issue he has.
Well, I don't agree that it is just a simple matter of making your case. When you use your government title and you use your intelligence bona fides and you use all your credentials to flat out lie to the American people, they didn't know that. That was a political argument, but they were saying this is Russian disinformation. What you're reading is directly out of the Kremlin. It was one of the biggest lies that was told to try to get Joe Biden over the finish line. Do you think that's just politics as usual?
Yes, I do, actually.
Incredible, because Scott, she also then compared that to Brendan Carr and the Jimmy Kimmel dust-up, which it's worth noting happened after all of this and is widely considered on the right to be a response to lawfare, illiberalism, and censorship to show the left. I'm not even defending it. I'm just explaining the argument to show the left what happens when you start going down that slippery slope. And she seems fundamentally to not even understand that those politics provoked these responses actually from Trump in the first place.
Well, I mean, the Kimmel comparison is ridiculous because the issue that was going on with Jimmy Kimmel was that he was also lying. I mean, what I have found with the left is that they get really mad when someone points out they're lying and tries to do something about it. And in the case of Kimmel, he lied to his audience and essentially argued to them that the shooter of Charlie Kirk was from MAGA, was a Republican. Mm-hmm. Completely false. And so, again, as with Kimmel, as with the 50 intelligence people in the case of the Hunter Biden laptop, what you had is people on the left trying to create a narrative to create a false reality. And here's the thing, they're really good at it. It is an article of faith on the left and among the Democratic Party that Russia stole the 2016 election. If you went to a Democrat dinner tonight and argued otherwise, you'd be thrown out on your rear end. And so in the wake of the Kirk killing, they tried to create the narrative to program their people that Kirk was killed by a Republican or a MAGA supporter. That's what Jimmy Kimmel was doing. He was participating in the perpetuation of the blue anon, talking points that this guy was MAGA. In the case of the Hunter Biden laptop, they tried to create a narrative in October of 2020 that somehow Russia had created this laptop and it was all just a big Russian hoax. And by the way, my guess is a high percentage of people on the left still believe that. And so they're very good at creating these narratives, and they get very pissy when someone on the right points out that this is nothing but lies, that this is nothing but narrative building. And so, look, and to me, it's not politics as usual. But to people on the left, it is, because that's the only thing they know to do, is to lie their ass off and to create a narrative or an alternative reality. That's all they know how to do. And so to Kara, I'm sure it is politics as usual, because she thinks it's perfectly fine to create an alternate reality or to create a narrative when the facts are not convenient to electing a Democrat. I'm sure to her, that is politics as usual. But I'll tell you what, it's up to all of us conservatives in this space to keep pointing it out, because, I just, if we've learned anything from Donald Trump, we just can't take it lying down.
I mean, it's unfathomable that she said it wasn't coerced or colluded, that she believes as somebody who covers tech. I mean,
of course it was.
It's truly insane. I mean, Zuckerberg himself has said that it was basically coerced.
It was coerced. And look, you've got these 50 people from intelligence and law enforcement and people with all these titles and credentials. And they're like, hey, this is Russian disinformation. And then they've got the Biden campaign calling them up and saying, you need to do something about this disinformation. It wasn't even that they were arguing that it wasn't a big deal, that the story wasn't worth coverage. They were arguing, what's the left's favorite word? Disinformation and misinformation. That's their favorite words. When they're losing a political argument, they immediately say everything you're saying is disinformation or misinformation.
Or racist, of course.
Or racist. And so when they throw these things at these tech companies and they say, well, you can't be part of the spreading of misinformation or disinformation, particularly if it comes from Russia, you mean to tell me you don't think that's coercion? Of course it's coercion. Of course it's coercion. And so, look, what happened is very simple. Information was kept from the American people on the doorstep of an election to advantage one of the two major political parties. That party was the Democratic Party. Information was censored, information was kept from you. And what did we find out later? It was all true. The laptop was real. Everything on there was real. And by the way, it was worthy of public debate because we now know that Hunter Biden was engaged in foreign influence peddling. And that probably was information that the American people would have wanted to know before they put Joe Biden back in the White House.
Do you all know what I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving? You're gonna know right away what I'm thankful for. It's obviously masa chips. There's really only one option here. But we all love Thanksgiving and the holidays because it kind of gives you a chance to go back to the basics and eat real food together as a family. And today's sponsor, Masa, is part of the real food movement. So important. Masa chips contain just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow, which is delicious. With Masa, you'll feel satisfied, light, and energetic with no crash, bloat, or gross, sluggish feeling afterwards. You definitely don't want that after holiday snacking. Personally, my favorite flavor of Masa is lime. I love the spicy flavor. So that's the habanero. I love the churro flavor for dessert. But if you love Masa, then you'll also love Vandy Crisps. Because speaking for myself, I also really love Vandy Crisps. Vandy, Masa's sister company, makes the most delicious 3-ingredient potato chips I've ever tasted. My favorite flavor is smokehouse barbecue. I really love also the original flavor. I'm like almost embarrassed by how much I love Masa and Vandy Crisps, as you can tell. So if you're looking for the best Black Friday deal on Masa, Masa always offers our audience a Black Friday level offer of 25% off on their first purchase. So if you use code AFTERPARTY for 25% off your first order at masachips.com or at vandycrisps.com, you get that discount, or you can simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer.